I would also care about its wealth. So the financial statements are what they would be most interested in. Customers, same if they care. Owners, same if owners that line. Managers, same as that line. They're also interested in efficiency and operations as well.
Current taxes? Is that what that says?
Correct. GST credits and collected. Sorry about that. Right, it's a little bit rubbish. And lastly, list 2 difficulties external users face when using accounting information. What's 2 problems by just looking at numbers alone and nothing else? What are some limitations?
I don't know what's actually going on inside the business.
Yep.
They could be rigging now.
Yep. So lack of operational. Well, you're right, because you can use different methods in accounting to value different things. So because of creative accounting methods, so for example, depreciation, you can use different methods to recognise or value an asset. So if I choose diminishing balance to recognise my motor vehicle, I'm going to reduce its value faster in the earlier years, whereas if I chose straight line method, it would be an equal distribution of the cost. So it has different implications on the report, and without knowing what method, and you don't know, it doesn't say on the balance sheet that the accumulated depreciation is diminishing balance. I don't know any of that. I don't know that extra information, and it affects the value of my asset, and it also affects my income statement because it adds in an expense, and that expense could be higher or lower depending on what method they've used. So that's information that they're not aware of. They're only looking at it at face value. Yes?
How do you know which method to choose?
Some of them are recommended, so there's literally like a handbook of depreciation, and it's got the type of equipment and how many years it's technically useful for, and the method recommended to be used, and then others you have the options. So it really depends on the business. But if I'm in a heavy machinery business, that's pretty high depreciating stuff. They're not usually that good after 5 to 10 years, so I'm going to probably do diminishing balance because the most damage will happen in the first year, just like a car. But there's no right. It depends on what it is. I can't say just right on the way. That's why you the question or 2.
Sorry, what does FS mean?
Financial statement, sorry.
Thanks.
Shorthand. Any other problems of just looking at that?
I can't see.
I don't also know how efficient my staff are. I also don't know if I'm using up-to-date technology or processes. I'm just looking at what we're earning and what our business is worth. I can't tell what systems we use or if we're doing a good job with our staff. Are they selling as much as they should? I don't have benchmarks or anything like that in my report, so they're very limited. And those are the limitations of assessing a business based only on reports. You don't have that extra understanding. So if I'm answering that question, the best way to do it is to have headings for all of the things that it asks. I would have said definitions, and then given a definition for each. I can use dot points as long as my sentences are full.
You're not in the picture.
Then I would have said examples.
You're not in the video.
Why am I not?
The boys.
Is that silent?
You got a message from your boyfriend, your husband, that's why. You are there.
Double dip.
You have to remind yourself that he's your husband, Tim the husband.
I put it in there in case I die in a car accident or something and they don't know who to ring.
Ah, very smart, very smart.
You know how you're supposed to have, just in case of emergency or whatever? You should have an ICE in your phone so someone, ring if you're hurt.
But how
Do you
does
have a lock on your phone?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't.
See,
I
Mum
used
has
to.
one in there and then has a lock on her phone. And I'm like,
Oh.
what's the point?
no one will be able to help you. Yeah, that's why I put it in there so they call him. I have ICE in there as well, but I don't know. I'm super worried about dying on the highway apparently. So I've got examples, sorry if it's not in there, but you can hear me anyway.
It is on there.
Oh, good. What's the next thing? It's asking for difficulties. And I do it that way. That's the best way to do it because it's got so many questions within a question. You'll easily forget to answer something if you don't use headings and bullet points. I just love headings and bullet points, they're the best. Track
So we're
everything.
allowed to do that, but they have to be in sentences.
That's right. Like, don't abbreviate what you're saying, but the bullet points will help you see that you're answering everything.
So not like
Same
you've
in
done on the
business
board.
too.
Not like you've done on the board.
No, that's right. That's just how I think. Mind maps. That's why it's so crazy. Alright, last one for that section is a big one. Assets are classified as either current or non-current. Explain the difference between current and non-current and give an example of each. Outline the main reasons for classifying assets as either current. To me that sounds very repetitive and I'd struggle to come up with 10 things to say. However,
Let's do this.
we've already been through this. Current's less than a year, it's financial year. Non-current is more than a year. And depending on what type of thing it is, if it's an asset, it's going to be consumed or used within that time frame, so less than a year or more than. If it's a liability, it's going to be paid within the time frame. So that's why we have those classifications. I'd give an example. That's what it's asking me in the question. So an example of a current asset and a non-current. So current is accounts receivable. Non-current would be buildings because they're going to last me quite some time. For liabilities, a current liability would be GST and a non-current could be mortgage or loan. And then lastly, it asks you to explain the reasons. So what's the benefit in having current and non-current on my reports? What's good about that? If you're an
It
owner,
separates them so you don't get
and what's the benefit of it being separate? Does it help us? Does it tell us more?
Yeah, well you see what you have to pay in this financial year and you see
Yes.
what you don't have to pay.
Exactly. So the biggest benefit is to do with liquidity and solvency. So liquidity, can we pay our debts when they're due? Whereas solvency is, can we pay everything if we had to? So all of our loans, even though they're not due for 10 years, if we had to, could we pay it off if we sold all of our assets? Pay everything back.
So if you went like
And
shit up,
this is less than a year.
you turned shit went down shit creek for a bit.
Yep.
Without a paddle. Without
Yep.
a paddle, then that's what solvency is.
Exactly.
Okay.
And liquidity, we should have twice as
Don't
many
shake your
assets
head
as
at me,
we do
Gordon.
liabilities.
From a day.
We need to be at least able to pay back all of our debts. Yeah, I wouldn't answer that one. That's stupid because there's not enough to say, I reckon, for 10 marks. That's,
So in our
Only
Miggy,
6
we'll
mark
just have
question.
one question we have to answer. Or it'll be like this.
there'll be a couple of options for the earlier ones, yeah, and then compulsory ones.
Okay.
There's just less knowledge than there used to be in question one. Rightio, moving on.
We do like
Question 2. This is the easiest part of the test. I'll be annoyed if there's mistakes in this. Because this we should know so well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exactly. 10 entries. That's all you have to do in a general journal. The template is given to you. Do not forget to do the heading because that is worth 1 mark on its own. General journal of whoever it is as at whatever date it is.
What did I do?
So I've got date, particulars, folio, which will remain blank because we're not posting them, debit and credit. Do the columns. Hello. Oh, it's dead serious.
You're on camera too.
Yeah, we're recording it so they can watch it later. You should dance or something so they enjoy it. Right. Billy Bob commenced a new financial year.
Can you just give me 1 second?
Yep.
I'm just going to put a table in.
What type of entry is this, if I'm going to remember?
How big's the table have to be?
Commencement.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Huh?
6, 5.
What are we talking about?
How big the table has to be? 5 by, let's say.
Oh, you mean the journal?
Yeah.
It's got 5 columns.
But then how many entries? It's 10. Isn't
Oh,
it?
10 entries, so
I'll put 12 in there. How about that?
sounds alright to me.
Okay, can you just give me 2 seconds?
So, date. We've got, what is it, 15th? Yep. March 15th. And it's a commencement entry. Rate. Easy peasy. Cash at bank. Debit. Inventory. Debit. Accounts receivable. Too lazy to write the whole thing. Debit. Equipment. Debit. Overdraft. What type of account is that?
A contra something.
Yep. It's a liability, not contra.
Oh no, I'm thinking.
I mean, it would be if it was a contra of the bank. That would, I can understand why you'd say that. Accounts payable is another liability, so that's credit. Remember, we're going by the natures because they're just balances that we're carrying over. And we've got a loan from TASPAC. And obviously there'll be a difference between my assets and liabilities, which is going to be capital. If I forget how to do that, it's OE equals A minus L, so I'm going to add up all my assets, add up all my liabilities, take them from each other, and that's what my capital is. Don't forget that.
Can I just write accounts payable?
Cash, 6,000, 10,000, 3,000, 3,000, 700, 400, 2,000, 7, 10, 13, minus 10, 2 is 11, 2, 3, is that 9, 9 for capital? Maybe?
What's the bank overdraft value? The bank overdraft value is 700.
The figure is 700. And my narration for this one is commencement entry. Round on. Bang. Lovely.
So that goes in particulars.
And capital's the difference. Or total add A's, total of L's, subtract them, and that's your capital figure. I don't know if that's right, I did it in my head, so it's probably wrong. I used my brain. Right, furniture. I'm not going to bother writing it all up in the table, can't be bothered. Furniture was purchased on credit, so it's an accounts payable for $880. Right. Furniture is going to be debited for how much?
Don't you have to do GST on that?
That's correct. So 800 GST clearing, all paid of 80, and I've got to pay the full amount to my accounts payable, 880. My narration is purchased furniture on credit, and if I had a tax invoice number, which I do, I need to include it, 958. That way if I get audited, I know exactly what receipts to look for to check it.
So you just go.
Next one.
Purchase furniture. What's the
Why
invoice?
are the
number?
dates wrong on
958.
those? They must want you to organise them, do they? Silliness.
Please don't do that in
Just silliness.
because I'm not.
I wouldn't have even noticed anyway.
Wait,
Wait, what do you mean?
why is it 8, 5, 13.
Oh, they go by
Yes.
months. That's why the months are
But
going
that's
up.
13.
Hey? What is?
8, 5,